We want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, the incredibly talented singer-songwriter Thomas Claxton. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let me introduce you to everybody, starting off with my cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell.
Hey, how are you?
What's up?
You have a very big voice.
A very big voice.
Yes, strong. I like that powerful voice. You can sing. And with a few lessons, you'll probably be better.
Can you teach me?
Yeah, I could teach you. Listen. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
So hold on, let's keep going.
No, I really like the song they just played, honest and truly, and I never lie. People know that. And your voice is very beautiful. You have almost an operatic voice. Did you ever study opera?
Not opera, but I was classically trained as a first tenor. So.
Oh, okay. So you could do Broadway easily.
Yeah, if I needed to, except for the dancing. That's why I decided.
Well, no, we have
except for the dancing.
No, we have all the we have the fairies to do that.
Yeah, we do that.
We do that. We fairies do the dancing.
Hold on, let's introduce them. So we've got behind the boards. We have Scotty J in Philadelphia. Say hi to Scotty J.
What's up, Scotty?
Yo, Thomas.
And then we have Danielle in Florida at the W4CY studios.
Danielle, how are you?
Good. Hello. Ron, I will admit I do like his accent.
I told you.
For the southern twang.
Right, it could
Wait a minute. Do you want to hear that southern accent whispering sweet nothings in your ear while you're both naked?
I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know if he has a girlfriend, a wife, or, what.
And that's where Ron says, who cares?
Yes, it's only a fantasy. You cannot hide your fantasies.
Actually happen.
Okay, in fantasy land, then yes. I would not object to that situation.
There you go. So hold on. We've got say hi to everybody in the chat room.
What's up, everybody? Who have we got chatting with us right now?
We got a bunch of people in there, but number one, you have to say hi. This is literally one of my favorite people on planet Earth is B. Claudia in Germany. So please first say hi to B. Claudia.
B, how are you, sweetheart?
Her son Nick, say hi to Nick. He's visiting.
Nick, yeah, man.
And then we have Lady Lake, who's one of my best friends in the world, in the chat room, Night Rouse. So say hi to Cindy Lady Lake, since she's the one who got you on here.
The one and only Cindy Lady Lake. That's right.
We love Cindy Lady Lake.
I want to compliment B. B, you did a brilliant job on that thing for Jimmy on Facebook. I watched it this morning for the first time.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. So
wasn't that fabulous the way she did that?
Yes.
It was really good. You're quite talented with the computer.
There you go. So anyway, you guys, this is Thomas Claxton. You can follow him on Twitter. It's at TCLAX_music. He's the 4-time IMC award-winning vocalist and songwriter. And this is one thing I want to say about you that I find actually fascinating is the fact that your bio says that you do 300 shows a year, which means you're gigging almost every night. So you're actually a full-time musician. Like, you're a musician.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. As an indie musician with such a great sound, I think it's not going to take very long for you to be like on the top of the charts, because I've listened to 3 of your songs, and then I listened to what's on Spotify. The music is really, really good. It's really like emotional, like heartfelt, deep music that you feel every word that you're actually singing. So it's not bubblegum pop. It's not bubblegum rock. It's got an actual feeling to it. And I think that gigging 300 days a year is going to make lots of people aware of you, and I think that you're gonna just totally blow up.
Well, it's either that or my voice is gonna finally shut down. One of the two.
That's what happened to me. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to open at the Met in New York, singing the lead in La Traviata, and my voice went from rehearsal, so they fired me.
Well, they don't know what they lost. That's what
I know. You and I know, but they don't know, definitely.
So you guys, I'm going to do some bragging.
No, wait. I want to say something to him first.
Okay, go ahead.
Guess whose company we were in over the weekend? Did you know? Did you hear?
No.
Oh, Scott Page,
from Pink
the
Floyd.
saxophone player from Pink Floyd, who's a dear friend of ours. And what's his name? Kenny
Olson from
Kenny
Kid Rock's
Olson,
brand.
the best.
Kenny's a great guy.
Great guitarist.
He's coming on next week on the show.
We
next
love
week.
Kenny.
That's
And the world's most fabulous drummer, I'm told, is
it's not Stephen Perkins. From Jane's Addiction.
So we were in some really fancy schmancy company.
And Norwood Fisher from Fishbone too.
So, and now we have you. So
and they're all coming on next week.
We rock in good company.
I actually just saw Kenny and Steven not too long ago. We were at a mutual. We have a mutual friend named Randy Fuchs and Tanya Hamilton who work for a company, or they own a company called Artist Relations that's based out of Nashville. And they have an event every Tuesday before each NAMM show. Each one of them takes place in Anaheim, one's in Nashville, and they do the Tuesday before in each one. And they have artists get together and play at this thing called the Endorse Expo, and that's where I last saw Kenny and Steven. They were both there playing. So, and I got nothing but great things to say about those guys. Upstanding individuals.
And talent personified. You got to go see the expo exhibit that Scott put together, Scott Page. We went to see it. It's unbelievable. You lay in lounges, you look at the dome ceiling where there's all kinds of wonderful shit going on while they're playing
Pink Floyd's music.
What a trip it was. And nobody was loaded. We were all sober. And we really loved it.
I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and
who isn't?
You'd be every once in a while I'll come across this one guy that's like, I never got into him, and I'm like, yeah, well, you suck. It's just,
I agree.
Usually it's like, if you don't like Pink Floyd, I'm not interested. That's just the way it is.
If you don't like Pink Floyd, you don't like rock.
Exactly. Well, see, I toured years ago with a member of the Australian Pink Floyd, which was the only Pink Floyd tribute band that was actually endorsed by Pink Floyd themselves. And we did an arena tour, and we featured a lot of the stuff, a lot of their classics like Money and Hey You and things like that. And it was an amazing experience. And to be on a big stage like that with that music in the background was incredible for me. So I'm such a huge fan of them.
They played Machine, and the place went crazy. What's the full title of Machine?
Something with Machine in it.
Yeah, Machine. It was one of theirs.
And let me tell you, yeah, I know the song you're talking about.
Something Machine. I forgot what it's called. But when they played, they hadn't played it the first night. They only played it the second night, and boy, was it unbelievable.
Well, let me tell you, I'm a firm believer that there's something about Pink Floyd's music that resonates outside of just regular understanding of music. And I had a funny experience years ago, because I live out in the middle of nowhere, man. I love living in the country. I couldn't live in the city if you had a gun to my head. I just couldn't do it. And but so right across the street from me, there's a big open field with a bunch of cows where I live. And I had a yard sale out there one day, and I had these huge speakers set up just to put some music outside while I was sitting there all day, and I put on some Pink Floyd. And these cows were on the opposite side of the field, and I put on "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," and these cows, and there's a video of this on YouTube. I had to film it in order to prove it to people, but these cows all of a sudden just looked up like this out of the middle of nowhere, and just started walking toward us in like a big herd, and they all came up to the edge of the fence and they stared. And then the song was over, and the Doors' Light My Fire came on, and every one of those cows hauled ass. I mean, they were like, no, we don't like this, we're out. And they left. And then the next song that came on was Breathe by Pink Floyd, another Pink Floyd tune. And every one of those cows looked up again and came back to the fence. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, because if you remember, Pink Floyd had an album called Atom Heart Mother, and there was a cow on the front of that album.
That's right.
And it was always weird to me. I was like, there must be something about this music that nature understands. I mean, really.
Well, if you could live in the city, like New York City, and be happy, because you could go to Walmart and you could see lots of cows, big fat cows.
I don't even.
And I think if you played Pink Floyd, those fat cows would smile and come up to you also.
I call them the Walmartians.
Right. Why is everybody in Walmart's fat?
I have no idea, but believe me, living in Southeast Georgia, there's so many Walmarts around here. And see, I don't go in the regular hours, because I'm usually on the way home, and it's the only place open. It's like 2 a.m. after my gig. And I could write a book on the stories of things that I've seen in Walmarts at 2 a.m.
Everybody can.
So I have.
I had a friend that lived in Childress, Texas. He was working there, and he said, "You want to go to the movies?" So I was visiting. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, because Walmart has a good movie playing tonight." And I said, "What are you talking about? You go in Walmart, you sit on folding chairs, and they project a movie on the wall." That was their only movie theater in Childress, Texas.
You're kidding.
Oh, it's dumb shit town. I got out of there real quick.
Okay, hold on. I want to go back. First of all,
one night was it.
Scott just sent me a thing saying since you're talking Pink Floyd, he'd be curious to know if you like Roger Waters as frontman or David Gilmour. Who did you like better?
Oh man, he's killing me. Because I love both of their music, man. I probably got to go with Gilmour.
That's what I'd go with too.
And that's difficult, because I love them both. It's just if we're strictly talking music here and not any other stuff, then yeah, Gilmour probably.
Okay,
I would have said Doris Day.
So then the other question is, and I can't see what's behind you because you come in clear, but your background is blurry. But I collect action figures, and they're saying in the chat room, like, look at your room is filled with action figures.
Is that better?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, there's Freddie Mercury. There's Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, but Jimmy, you got him beat.
There's Kiss. So tell me, what kind of action figures do you collect? A lot of those look like wrestlers.
Some of them are Marvel Comics. Some of them are rock stars. I mean, it depends. It's not that I have any one particular thing because and Ron, you say he's got me beat, but you can't see what's in front of me either.
Oh, you've never seen Jimmy's room. There's not an inch.
Jimmy.
Not an inch.
You and I would get along great.
We already are, my friend. Already are.
Now tell me, who cleans all that shit? You?
I do. Oh yeah, man. I don't trust anybody else to touch these things.
I don't either. I don't want anybody touching.
Yeah, but you don't
stuff.
clean. You don't dust them.
Well, mine
Jimmy.
are dusty. What are you gonna do? I do Marvel comics. I do actually superheroes. It doesn't have to be Marvel. It can be Marvel or DC. I do superheroes and I do horror movie memorabilia.
Yeah, here you go. California raisins.
There you go, California raisins. I have like the 18,
lifestyle monster.
I got the 18-inch Kiss dolls that stand on the rocks and play music.
Yep.
I've got a 6-foot tall Jason from Friday the 13th that like moves and makes noise, and I got a werewolf that's like 7 feet.
He's got all this in one room.
But I have every horror movie person on the planet.
Well, see, I like it. I like to collect stuff that's from 1994 and older. If it's past anything like that, I'm not really too interested in it, because, I mean, there is a part of it where it's like nostalgic from my childhood, so that's part of the reasons why I go after certain stuff. And some of it's not worth a hill of beans, but then I find things every once in a while, like not too long back, I was telling Cindy, do you remember the old Teddy Ruxpins?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I have one.
I found one of those. If you have the original series of them, they're actually worth a good chunk of change these days. I mean, you could sell, if you still have the box, and the book isn't worn out, and the cassette tape still plays, and the gears still work on the bear itself, you can sell one of those things for $500 easily. And I found one on eBay for $60.
I used to have one. I think I sold it, but I have one of my favorite things because I have like one of those Marvel Stan Lee dolls that they were selling for like $250, and now they're worth like $800-900 since he passed.
Sell it.
No, I don't want to sell it because like nobody will ever have it. One thing first of all, I collect action figures of people who've been on our show who have action figures.
Nice.
So I have a ton of those, and then I have a bunch of action figures and stuff that are just sold from people that are signed, to me from people who gave them to me in the horror movie business.
Well, and if you want the Aquaman, you have to buy a new one because he didn't exist in 19 whatever.
Yeah, he did. There was a different Aquaman.
Yeah, but it was a comic book. There were no figurines.
Yeah, I have one. I had him when I was a kid.
What,
Aquaman?
doll?
Yeah, but not like this Aquaman. He had yellow hair, and he was just different.
Totally different.
I'm a big Aquaman fan.
Now, the rarest figure that I think I've got is not actually that old. It's funny because it's an action figure of Hulk Hogan. But the thing is, the figure itself was only sold in like select areas of the world, and there were very few made. I mean, I'm talking like bare minimum, and they weren't distributed to the public or anything. And I got a hold of one, really sad story actually. A guy on eBay was selling his son's stuff because his son had passed away in an accident or something, and he just he couldn't bear to look at it anymore, so he had this thing up there for like $20. And I told the guy, because I didn't have the conscience to just pay that guy $20 for that figure, so I tried to give him a little something more, and I told him what it was, and he was like, look, that's okay, man, the $20 is good enough. I just can't bear to look at it. So he sent it to me. I paid him for it. And a little while back, WrestleMania was actually right there in Orlando. And this is a couple of years back, and Hulk Hogan, was still kind of on the outs with the company, because I don't think he helped his career too much, but he opened up a new store in Orlando, and he was doing autograph signings. You got to pay the money, so it was like $100 or something like that. And the way I looked at it, if it was just to go shake his hand, I wouldn't have paid $100 because, I'm a broke musician. But I had this action figure, and I was like, you know what? If I pay that $100 and he signs it, not only is it a rare figure, but the day he dies, I mean, that figure is going to be worth some great money.
Fortune, yes.
And right now, I could sell the figure with him still alive for around $1,200. And when he dies, I mean, it's just going to be, don't want him to, but
love it. I know, but I love it. Okay. I think it's fabulous. So let's go back to your music real quick so I can brag a little bit for you. Since you're an indie artist, first of all, I don't know how you work out all these things, but it says in your bio that you've opened for Mike and the Mechanics, the Marshall Tucker Band, Mike Rutherford from Genesis, Mother's Finest, Driving and Crying, who I tweet with them all the time, the guy from Steelheart, Stephen Percy from Rat, which we've had Bobby Blotzer from Rat on the show, and Jason Todd, who's in Shine Down and Feel. So how do you work out being an indie artist, getting to open for all these super mega famous people?
Well, you know what? I've kind of looked at my career, I appreciate the grassroots stuff that I don't think happens very often anymore. Everybody today expects things to come to them at the snap of the finger. You post something on YouTube, somebody in Tokyo sees you 5 seconds later. And me, I've kind of gone out and networked and just met a lot of great people in my career. And I would say the first kind of, I guess you would call it a break, even though it was ultimately a failed project, that I ever landed was an arena tour with Chuck Negron from Three Dog Night. And I was one of his
awesome.
And from there, I just kind of figured, you know what, this might not ever happen again. So let me make the most of this opportunity, because I'm not a bullshitter. I believe in, what, if you want something, go chase it and don't complain. Just go after whatever you want. And so from there, I met this person and this person and this person, and I just kept in touch with all these people. And one thing led to another. And I remember the guy I was telling you about earlier that I met Kenny through, named Randy. I called Randy up one day out of the blue because Randy had gotten me my first endorsement. And that arena tour with Chuck was a shell shock to me, because you have to keep in mind, I was doing nothing but playing in bars at that point. I mean, I was still taking a coffee.
So it's a big jump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one second I'm in a shoebox, the next second I'm walking out in front of thousands of people in an arena. And while it was always my dream, I don't think I sat back enough and kind of soaked it all in and just appreciated it, because it was going so fast. And then it was over. And when it was over, I went right back to my normal routine of, places that I knew I could book and things like that, because this is all I do for a living. And then years later, I contacted Randy again, and he told me, he said, look, Thomas, I've got this event coming up right before NAMM in Anaheim, and you need to get out of Georgia, and you need to get to California.
NAMM is a big deal. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, NAMM for me was really the thing that kind of restored my confidence in some sort of ways. Not that I've ever lost it completely. But, like I said, one second you're in the big stage, the next second you're back to what you were doing before the big stage.
Which is what we were talking about with our last guest. It's no different than making big movies, or you can make a ton of money and then you go work for $100 a day.
For sure.
It's the same thing.
And let me tell you, though, I appreciate everything. I mean, I'm talking the smallest crowds to the biggest crowds, because they each offer something different. I mean, like a small crowd actually might pay attention to you more.
Yes.
You'll have five or six people in a room that really dig what you're doing. And to me, I appreciate that on a whole different kind of level than I do walking into a room with a bunch of other guys with thousands of people, and not one of them knows who I am. They're just enjoying what I'm, up on stage doing. And, so it's just different. It's very different. But, networking and making all this stuff happen, and just, meeting a lot of great people. I've met some assholes in my career too, but,
So have we. We meet a lot of them. Well, I want to tell people, because you've got an acoustic tour going on, acoustic propaganda tour in the eastern United States. You got a couple of dates set up here. You're going to be in New York City at the Bitter End on June 25th. Anybody on the East Coast, you want to go and see Thomas, if you're in any of these places, he plays really good places. He's playing in Philadelphia at the Hard Rock Cafe on June 27th, which we've been there. We used to live in Philadelphia. And then on July 5th, he's going to be in Washington, D.C. at the Hard Rock Cafe, and July 12th and 13th in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee at the Hard Rock Cafe, which that can't be an easy book to book the Hard Rock Cafe. Actually, that's pretty impressive all in its own, is that you're playing at the Hard Rock Cafe and you're not playing
Leah, we went to see Leah.
Yeah.
What was Leah's group?
Sharon Leah.
Sharon Leah. What was the name of her group?
The Sharon Leah Band.
Oh, that's it, the Sharon Leah.
Anyway, but it's pretty good, though, to get booked into all those Hard Rocks. That didn't just happen. You had to meet somebody to do that.
Well, Hard Rock Cafe, I got to be honest, man. It's so funny because everybody thinks that there's one Hard Rock Oz somewhere that just books for all the Hard Rocks, and that's not the case at all. I mean, there's no wizard behind the curtain that just makes it all happen. So in order to make these Hard Rock gigs work, you have to literally get to know the people that work in their marketing teams and things like that. And I've actually networked really well with Hard Rock, and my logic behind that was, not that I have anything against the dive places or anything like that. I got respect.
Oh, absolutely. They're all places.
Hard Rock is an established brand. Everybody knows what Hard Rock is. It's similar to House of Blues. It's one of those places where, you'll see somebody randomly just wearing the Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt in a Hard Rock in India they visited or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, that's a good thing to be a part of, So I started talking to them, and I went. My first one I played was the one in Atlanta, and then I went from there into Tennessee, and the next thing you know,
you've made relationships with all of them.
With a lot of them, I've played for probably about 65% of the ones in the U.S. and including up in Anchorage, Alaska. I mean,
oh my God, I would not want to go to Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, let me tell you,
cold.
No, not in the summertime. Summer solstice, man, it's beautiful. There's nothing like the sunlight in full effect at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's wild.
It doesn't get dark.
Well, I know that.
I wouldn't like that.
I was booked. They were going to do a movie, and I was booked for the Hard Rock Cafe. But when I got the paperwork, they made a mistake with the R.
Uh-oh.
And it was a C. So it was a porno movie called The Hard Cock.
Were you?
And I had to renege. I said, no, I thought you were the Hard Rock.
Which, by the way,
I blew that joke.
I know you blew that, but it was good. It was a good thought, though. And
I gotta write that one down.
We gotta give it a shout out. We gotta give a shout out because one of our favorite country singers, Hub Reynolds, is in the chat room. So we want to give a shout out to Hub Reynolds Jr. in the chat room.
Hub, you're looking so good. He's losing weight. He's getting sexier and handsomer, if that's possible. He's every gay guy's cowboy dream man. Hub, they say that about you. The guys like you. Be careful.
There you go. So you guys, right now we're on the line with Thomas Claxton. We've only got a couple of minutes. I want to let everybody follow him in social media. His Twitter is @tclax_music, CLAX_music. His website is thomasclaxton.com. Are you on Instagram?
Oh yeah. It's Thomas Claxton _music.
Okay, Thomas Claxton _music. You got all his shows for the acoustic propaganda tour in the eastern U.S. We want everybody to follow. Also, besides following him, we want you to follow Lady Lake Music. That's Cindy. But it's so weird. You know that I don't know anybody by their I know Cindy by her name, but most people I only know them by their Twitter handles. So if their Twitter handle doesn't have anything to do with their name, I only know their Twitter handle. So she is @Lady Lake Music, you guys, and you want to follow her on Twitter. She's super, super fabulous. And another quick bragging for Mr. Claxton. He performed with Chuck Negron, which he said earlier, from Three Dog Night. He also has performed with Grammy Award winner Jonathan Mover, who's the drummer for Alice Cooper, Joe Satriani, and Aretha Franklin. He's toured with the bassist for Huey Lewis and the News, who's also a Grammy Award winner, Mario Cipollina, and he's performed with Michael Hampton, who got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from Parliament Funkadelic. Which I love that.
All these guys are great. A big shout out to Mario and Michael in particular, because they worked with me on my latest album, Age of Propaganda. So those guys both contributed to that big time. I think Mario played like 60% of the bass guitar tracks on that album.
So where does everybody get your album?
It's available right now on Google Play, CD Baby, iTunes. All the major distributors have it, or you can go and order the physical CD, physical product on my website at thomasclaxton.com off my website.
There you go. I love it. We've been inundated with musicians, and next week we've got an all-musician show. And then and the week after that we have Dionne Warwick. So like we're like definitely doing like a musician thing at the moment.
Musicians need the love too.
That's right.
I'm still recuperating from our weekend. We haven't stopped partying all weekend with with Pink Floyd people. So we had a great time.
Did you see that? That's a Freddie Mercury, 18-inch Freddie Mercury action figure.
Oh. It actually sings.
I think that is so. I totally have to get one of those. Like I want that. I remember seeing it back in the day, because I have the pinhead that's that size from Hellraiser. Look at that; it looks just like Freddie Mercury.
I was going to say it looks just like.
I totally want that, and
wow.
I want the Rob Zombie one.
Yeah, I've got one of Freddie, and I've got one of John Lennon.
Oh, that's just fabulous.
So I'll give you that for Christmas.
I think that's a way close. They're hard to find now. Like he probably got it. Yeah, you can't find those things nowadays.
Money is no object as long as you pay for it.
So everybody, this is Thomas Claxton again. Check out thomasclaxton.com. Follow him at @tclax_music. We want to thank you for coming on the show. We want to thank Cindy for like setting everything up with you. We also want to thank our other guest, William McNamara, for coming on the show today. We had a great time. And we wish you all the most success. I'll be tweeting with you on Twitter, but we wish you all the most success in the world on your career. I think the music is really phenomenal.
And we'll be going to Georgia in a couple of months, maybe 5 or 6 months, to film something I'm in. And we could look you up then and have some party.
Please do, guys. Hey, and I want to thank you both for the opportunity, man. This has been excellent, and you're both phenomenal. Big fans of both of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. Next week, we got the super group coming on. All the different people from Pink Floyd's experience. It's going to be a lot of fun. We want to thank Scotty J and Danielle for hanging out with us today. We had a great time. We hope everybody enjoyed it. And Billy Hess, we miss you already. We'll see you soon. Eileen, we love you. And everybody, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, folks.
We look good there.
Yeah. You're slouching. You have to sit up like this so you don't look like a fat pig.